also known as Carter, me and Bro Moment are the ones that are going to repopulate it.
Oh my god! Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I am Ramen Cop and I'm coming back at you guys again with another game review. Why don't we stop mucking around and get right into this game? So to start out, if you didn't see my last review on Dead Space, we do these game reviews and we talk about 5 sections on the game, 5 different topics on the game. We talk about those 5 things before I actually give my real final score for the game. So those topics are gameplay, fun factor, make of the game, the replayability, and then finally my last thoughts of the game, in case I had any other topics or anything that I wanted to talk about as far as the game goes. So I've spent extensive hours in this particular game, probably way too much hours in the game, honestly, and I am very qualified at reviewing this game, which is what I try to do for most of the games that I review. I give you know, I'm no video game journalist, so I'm not gonna just lose in the tutorial and give it a bad score. I play it so that I get the full experience of the game. So anyway, without further ado, let's talk about this game. The gameplay. This game is as simple as it gets. It is the simplest survival game that I think you can find probably on Steam's market right now. There's no lore, there's no secrets. It is purely grab rock, hit tree, and muck. But mucking around is not as easy as it seems. Every night when the sun goes down, on the island that you spawn on, the monsters will appear all around you. It's not like they'll appear kind of only in dark areas. They appear everywhere. It's like just right on top of you. You can't really build torches or build a house to stop the monsters because they'll just break your house. It's kind of like 7 Days to Die in that way. The best way to describe it would be, it's like Minecraft on crack. Like if you gave all the zombies and stuff from Minecraft 5,000 milligrams of expired Benadryl, and then you would get muck. Like that's essentially what goes. That's essentially what goes on. So in the daytime, a lot of the daytime is for like the gameplay loop, I guess. A lot of the daytime is spent crafting, mining, chopping, and collecting all the gold. All the gold that you can collect until night comes, and then when night comes, all hell breaks loose. It kind of progressively gets more difficult as you go on. But it's in a certain way that it progresses, which I will show you guys later. Overall, the gameplay is smooth and the combat is fun. It's very, very jump heavy, just because like if you're right next to the creatures that you're fighting, they're just gonna kill you. So it's easier to just jump and avoid them because they can't really do anything when you jump. So it's very jump heavy on the things. It's kind of like jumping up and down to take them down and whatnot. It puts a lot of emphasis into actually swinging the sword. So like if you swing your character while you swing the sword, you have the ability to hit multiple enemies rather than just hitting, you know, like one enemy, like your typical Minecraft thing. Or actually, better yet, because I keep comparing it to Minecraft, it's the sweeping edge aspect of like the sword. That's all the time. So that happens with every single thing. The learning curve is very easy as far as most things go. There's a lot of other little aspects of muck that makes it a lot more interesting while playing it, which we'll talk about in kind of the other sections. But yeah, so that's probably it about for gameplay. So let's talk about the fun factor. I will put it like this. This game is hilarious and awesome until it's not. Just so you guys know, I'm reading off of a script. I actually wrote myself a script for this one rather than just making it up as it goes. So the game is actually super fun to play with friends. Like I think that's probably the best thing that Muck has for it. Friends make this game like 100 times better than it is. So everyone mucking around, it's really a great fun thing. This gameplay is simple, but it's very easy to just hop in and play with all the boys. And I do mean all of the boys. I mean like all of them, because I mean, I think lobbies can hold up to 8 players, and you might be able to mod it so that you can get even more players, which would just be absurd. The game gets really fun when you highlight the most important part about Muck, which is the power-ups. And now the power-ups make everything just... they make Muck what it is. Power-ups will make or break your entire Muck playthrough. I think it's actually really dope. So rather than just increasing your stats like normal power-ups would in any game, they actually change the gameplay, like they actually give you gameplay mechanics. They give you extra gameplay mechanics, or they increase the gameplay mechanics as it is. So, like for example, since the game is very jump heavy, there is a power up called the Janix Frog that actually allows you to jump one more time. So what I mean by that is, like, you don't just get one Janix Frog, because all the power ups actually you get can stack. So if the Janix Frog gives you one additional jump and you get 8 Janix Frogs, you can jump 8 times in the air. And that, of course, that stacks. So if you get 12 times, you can jump 12 times in the air. So you can essentially fly across the map if you have that many frogs. That also goes for some of the other ones, like there's a power up for lightning. Like you get the occasional, like every once and so often, you can hit an enemy and it'll cause it to be struck by lightning and cause a huge damage buff, right? But if you get a bunch of those, you can almost guarantee a lightning strike on every hit, or like a critical strike. It's kind of the same thing. So if you really kind of focus on just getting power-ups, you can become overpowered with just the right ones. You can become overpowered very quickly, and I think that kind of makes Muck really fun too. Is like you could be struggling fighting like normal, or you could be flying. You could jump 50 times to avoid any enemy, and they won't be able to catch you. You know, like that sort of thing. So I think that's pretty awesome. To get power-ups, you can get them from opening chests with coins, which in the gameplay that I have going on in the background, you can actually see kind of like all the chests that are kind of sprinkled around. So you can also get them by doing battle totems, which are just kind of sprinkled around the map. They look like little towers. You activate them and they spawn 3 random enemies. Or there's also boss totems and bosses that randomly spawn, and when you kill a boss, it'll give you a power-up as well, similar to how the battle totems will. And so typically when you kill bosses and stuff like that, they'll give you probably better power-ups, or like the chests are designated with different colors, with like gold being like the best kind of power-ups that you can get, those being the exotic ones. Of course, it's all random. It's like gambling. And we love gambling. There are some games where you could just get like the best power-ups right off the bat and you're set for the entire game, or you could just keep getting the Robin Hood's hat, which only deals with bows and arrows, but if you don't use bows and arrows, so it's kind of useless. However, there is a part of this game that is what, as I described in the beginning of the video, it's fun until it's not. This is where it's not. So I actually did the analysis on this, the full initial analysis, where the progression curve, rather than being linear like most games where the more harder levels you do, the better stuff you get, that sort of thing, it kind of has a step-up linear progression system, or step-up position. So basically what happens is, every time you get a power-up, you go up a progression step, and you kind of flatten out until you get another power-up, because while you can get the best sword in the game, and it does help out for a little bit, or like the best armor or whatever, the gameplay is purely based on the power-ups. You know, once you get into the later nights and stuff like that, you can get one shot by anything in the game if you don't have good power-ups that allow you to kind of just tank all those attacks, right? The armor is good, but it won't protect you from anything once the later things come, once the later nights come. So then with the step up like progression curve, you can kind of work your way, like if you know how to play the game, the first couple nights are pretty easy. You know how to deal with it. However, the difficulty curve for the game, which this, like when you're playing this and you're not a muck veteran like me, when you're playing this, the curve of difficulty starts pretty flat and mellow. It's got an exponential I'm using big words. It's got an exponential difficulty curve. So as it starts out, it's pretty flat. It's pretty, everything is pretty easy to kill. If you just know how to jump around and whatever, it's fine. However, it starts, once you start hitting I think around the 5th or 6th night, the curve starts going drastically upwards to the point where it gets, if you just don't have the power-ups to kind of combat it, and you don't have some level of overpoweredness, you will just start getting killed over and over again. It's like a death loop, which is kind of the worst. But it also makes it worse because in the actual game too, every time you die, with every compounding death, the price to revive you, like from a revive totem, this is assuming that you're playing with friends, the price to revive you using a revive totem increases drastically as it goes on, which, as I said before, gold is very, very valuable because you use that to buy more power-ups. So it's kind of hard to get people to buy you a revive back. But as well, it is free to revive you from your body, but assuming that your friends don't have 12 Janix frogs and they can't fly across the map just to revive you, you have to wait another, which the timer goes up as well. So while your first death you might be able to be revived in 30 seconds, your second death will be like 100 seconds, and your third one will be like 5 minutes, right? So it's like the time goes up as well. So it's kind of annoying. So you don't want to die. That's kind of the point. Oh, there's also something I forgot to mention. When you die, and I actually have a clip from when we were playing as a group. When you die, your character explodes. It's not like Minecraft, because again, MUCK is Minecraft on 5,000 milligrams of Benadryl, right? So it's geeked up. So like in Minecraft, when you die, your stuff just kind of sits in like a very small area and it just kind of floats around, until you get it, right? In a very small area where you died. In MUCK, your stuff explodes like that, like the supposed manhole cover that made it to space first before anything else, right? When you kill a creature, its stuff just falls down, which would be ideal, but when you die, the character, your stuff explodes and goes like football fields away. Like, playing the game and I died on accident or died here or there, my stuff will be like in the ocean. It'll be like very far away. So it's very easy to lose. Like, if you had like the best sword in the game, you could theoretically lose it just because of how far away it goes from your body, right? You would need a search party to find like all your stuff. And so dying is a nightmare in this game. That's what makes it terrible. So it's a nightmare in this game, which if you don't have the power-ups to kind of survive tanking all this stuff that goes on in the later nights, it just makes it a nightmare. And so like it's kind of hard to find that the game is fun during that time, because like there will be like 1 or 2 people in the lobby who really got it, and so like they're overpowered enough to survive all that stuff. But if you don't fit into that category, you'll essentially just be spectating them almost the entire time, which, I'd rather play the game rather than watch my other friend play the game. But of course, that quite literally is a skill issue, so good luck. Oh, I also haven't talked about the bosses very much. There are bosses. I think there's 4 bosses in the game. There's Chief, Big Chunk, I think his name is, Gronk, and the Guardians. But that's not counting the final boss. I'm gonna be honest, once you get to the final boss, you're probably gonna be overpowered enough to like just kind of deal with him, it's that there's nothing really to hit home with the final boss. But the normal bosses, they spawn in either totems or as the exponential difficulty curve goes up, they spawn randomly throughout nature. So the bosses, most of them are pretty easy to deal with, or not easy, but they have their own difficulty. If you have enough power-ups, like I said, again, you could kind of just tank them, and they can't really do anything to you. Early game, don't get me wrong, early game, these guys will completely screw up your entire play. Like, you need to make sure that you are ready to fight these bosses. You also have to have a little bit of skill, because, again, they will just, for lack of better terms, run your shit. They're fine. They are okay. It more so sucks when you get like 3 or 4 of them in one night, which can happen. So that's always not a great thing, but they do give you power-ups when you kill them, so at least there's like a balance. Now, this other boss I'm going to talk about, the Guardians, they also give you power-ups when you kill them, but they are just a nightmare. I remember the first time I experienced a Guardian, because like we were just like, it's a nighttime, and we're like, guys, what is that? What is that? So the Guardians are like these basically ethereal beings that just kind of float toward you. But they have 2 kind of game-ending attacks that are just like the worst. So to be fair, you can fight them. They are killable, which even if you don't have power-ups, you can kill them. But you need to have a decent amount of skill, because they spawn this attack that's kind of like an explosion attack where it kind of highlights on the ground like a red circle, and if you're in the red circle, you can get exploded, and then boom, you're dead. It's like an instant kill. The other instant kill thing is they have this like charge up laser thing where they kind of charges it up. They stay in one spot. So you can, if there's a tree, that now I'm giving you tips and tricks, but if there's a tree around, you can kind of hide behind the tree and it will block this laser. But this laser will literally just obliterate you. Like, it is that simple. It, like, you can't avoid it unless you're behind something, but it will literally just, he just blasts you and you're done. So like, and what I forgot to mention about the bosses is once they kill you, or like the enemies in Muck, once they kill a player, they will go then to the next player, right? They will not waste any time. They will not like stand in that area where they just were. They will actually travel across the map to kill you. So imagine you're just, you know, farming trees, you're just doing your thing, and then here comes like this ethereal creature that has just wanted to kill you, right? This ethereal creature who has just slaughtered your friend comes flying over. Like, that's the worst, you know, it's terrible. So like, a guardian could very easily insta-kill like 4 people in your lobby, you know? And then like the last guy or whatever who's there then has to deal with this guardian, right? So yeah, the guardians aren't that great. Something to worry about, I guess. And something that kind of does affect the gameplay of the game, but for the most part, if you're in a lobby and you guys are all just kind of doing your own thing, there comes a time when you'll be able to handle the bosses pretty well. Sorry, so now let's talk about the make of the game. So this game is surprisingly well made. It's the graphics are not huge. It's not, by no means is it a AAA game or anything like that, but it still is a very visually appealing game. If your PC or whatever you're playing on suffers a lot at like bigger games or whatever, I would say don't even worry about it. This game is 200 megabytes, which is tiny, right? Like I have games filling my hard drive and stuff like that are like 300, 200 gigabytes, right? Just outrageous. This game is 200 megabytes. It took me quite literally like 4 minutes to download, right? So with that being said, if you wanted a game to play with your friends, this is 200 megabytes. You all can download it, and it holds a lobby of 8 people. The whole focus is just to have fun. I have spent, I think on Steam, I spent 27 hours on this game. So I have the experience to say that I have not ran into a single performance issue or glitch or bug or anything like that. It's just very well made.
Aaron,
Yes.
what the fuck is going on?
I'm just chilling. I'm recording actually, believe it or not, a MUCK discussion video.
Muck is a decent game, I will say that.
Yes, it is.
I have 20.8 hours in it, so I do have a somewhat of an opinion.
Yeah. That's actually really good. I was actually just explaining how many hours I have in this game. I was like, I have 27 hours, and you know what? I had a decent good job.
I have 32 out of 49 achievements. I'm doing all right.
So usually for small indie games, there's also some issues around like the multiplayer or like connecting with lobbies and stuff like that, or just general performance issues like clipping through walls or something like that. But with Muck, it's extremely crisp and it works amazingly. Me and the Juicebox Squad played I want to say like upwards to like 50 or so games just from like losing and stuff like that, and we did not run into a single issue, like game issue.
Not really.
All the issues we ran into were mostly skill issues. So let's talk about the replayability. On replayability. So, as I mentioned in the previous section about the make of the game, me and the Juicebox Squad played about 50 or so games because, basically put, this game is awesome to replay. Now, it doesn't have any progression, leveling, prestige, cosmetics, or anything like that outside of the game. So outside of the lobbies, you start from,
what it is.
You start from the bottom. But I think that honestly is what makes it so replayable. it's kind of like the whole point is just you start from zero until you beat the game, and then that's the gameplay loop. The best thing I could describe it or compare it to is Call of Duty Zombies. The way how you start with nothing, you start with the very basics, and then the whole point of the game, the whole thing that you're doing while playing with friends is, getting better, upgrading things, and then once you die or once the game ends, that's it. So then you restart from the beginning. I can also add that there's just enough factors that affect each playthrough that it makes it consistently fun and different to play. So like in Call of Duty Zombies, there are things like the mystery box, perk locations, points, boss rounds, which I can talk about Call of Duty Zombies for a while. But those things like that make the game kind of interesting for each playthrough. But in MUCK,
because you can customize shit.
Yeah, exactly. But in MUCK, it's the random power-ups, the battle totems, the bosses, and like honestly just how the gameplay plays out. It's because it's like there's kind of like a set of things that will all happen. Those being you fighting the Guardian, those being you fighting those separate bosses, right? Those being you building the boat.
you collecting the materials for the ship and
right.
then eventually going on it and fighting that dragon.
Right, exactly. So these all things happen kind of at a certain time, but it's just getting there, and like the things that happen in between make it really fun and make it very original every single time, especially if you have a decent sized group of people to play with. MUCK is a very good game to have in your library, especially like what happens with my set of friends where we just kind of sit there and spend another 30 minutes deciding what we're all going to play for the night. MUCK is always just a good one to have in your back pocket, especially for that reason. So my last thoughts. Overall, fantastic game. I have very little complaints. I will say you definitely need friends to play with this game. That's kind of like a caveat. You need friends because while you can by all means play the game solo, if you have enough skill or whatever, by all means go for it. It's just that when you play with friends, it makes it so much nicer and so much like easier to deal with. Plus, in solo, if you die, which is I can almost say it's a guarantee. If you die, your game is over. There's no self-revives or anything like that. It's very unforgiving. So, if you have friends...
Yeah, and it's very difficult too.
Yeah, if you have friends...
At least when you don't know what you're doing.
Right. So, if you have friends, it's a lot easier to kind of offset that difficulty. Or at least you'll have somebody to revive you in that case. But... I'm just saying, playing it with friends makes it all that much better. So... regardless, it's time for our overall score. Our overall score is a 7.8 out of 10 fish. Once again, this game is strictly just fun focused. It has it with a lot of personality. I mean, I think it's very memorable, the whole gameplay, everything about it. The points that are not fun, as I mentioned, are pretty easy to avoid and stuff like that, especially if you have friends. Everybody will experience them, but that's kind of just MUCK. You get mucked up with the boys. Yeah, that's kind of just how it is. But I thoroughly enjoyed playing this game with my friends, and I already know in a very short amount of time, probably shorter than I want, I will be keep to this game again. Unfortunately, MUCK has a hold on me, and it keeps bringing me back. I keep every time we play and we beat the game, I'm just like, all right, I'm uninstalling it, and we're never playing again.
Yep.
But then give it a week.
And then like a week or two, and you'll be like, hey, you want to muck it up real quick?
Yep. And then which again, as it is 200 megabytes, it is a very small game. You can just re-download it and play it again. So, overall, MUCK is a very, very great game, and I definitely recommend it to you all. Thank you all for watching this game review. If you guys enjoyed more game reviews like this, because there are more coming, by all means, go hit that subscribe button. All of these gameplay things that you see, all the funny moments and stuff like that you see that I upload on my channel are all recorded from my Twitch streams that I do on Ramen Cop, my Twitch channel. So by all means, I play with the Juicebox Squad. We play just everything under the sun. We play all sorts of games, those being horror, scary, fun, whatever you name it. We also, of course, check out my Squadcast that I do with them, where we talk about just anything under the sun, kind of that sort of thing. So if you enjoy my personality, all my friends, or Carter, who is also on this video as well, we have a great time, and so I would love to see you guys there. But anyway, I also should mention that if, in case you wanted to see the whole stream and not just the 5 or 10 minutes that I record and clip the funniest parts about it, if you want to see the whole stream, I will upload that to my new channel, my second Twitch channel, or I guess my second YouTube channel, which is Noodle TV. That's just basically where I put all the unedited long form streams. So, if you're making food or doing laundry or anything like that, and you want to get a little bit of ramen comp in your life, by all means, check out those streams. A lot of times those streams are with members of the Juicebox Squad. So, so if you like us, that is also another place to kind of enjoy those streams as well. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Deuces.